Good afternoon, my friends. I think today it's time for another story time video. Um, this time it's not like one story, it's more like a lot of different situations I've been in over time. And you could say today the theme of this story time video is dangerous situations. It was actually, I was driving Friday, I was driving to the southern part of Denmark, the southern part of Zealand to work, and it was very treacherous driving conditions. So I was thinking about dangers, and I got to think about these different kind of dangers I've been in over time. Most of these that I've written down, I made a note to make sure I remember it all. Most of the situations was while I was a kid, and I guess some of them are, well, unknown to my parents for good reason. I have this thing, I kind of think that it's, kids do a lot of crazy things, and somehow I think it's good that the parents don't know everything they do, because I guess that would give them a nervous breakdown. But anyway, I know I was a handful when I was a kid. I was, exploring the limits, so to say. Anyway, the first time that I put myself in danger, I guess I was too young to realize that I was putting myself in danger. But I learned, that's for sure. My brother and I have a 2-year older brother, and we were playing with Lego, and he had made a very nice looking airplane. And of course I wanted to tease him. So I took it from him and I ran to the living room. And in the living room I stacked 4 chairs. And I was very young, as I say, but I managed to stack some chairs on top of each other and climb up on top and pretend that I was flying with his airplane. And obviously everybody know what's gonna happen. The whole pile of chairs came down and me on top. And as I say, this time I did learn the consequence, because I actually broke my arm. And that's one of the cases where my parents knew that I was doing stupid things, because they had to take me to the emergency room. And I remember my brother was most upset about his beautiful Lego airplane got smashed to pieces. But anyway, it was early summer, and the entire summer that year I had my arm in cast. Like, couldn't use it for anything, and it was horrible. But I don't remember much of it, obviously. I basically only remember what people have told me. But that was my first crazy stunt. And I'm sure I made a lot of different other crazy stunts. But the next one I actually remember. I was in fourth or fifth grade, and we had moved to a farmhouse in the northern part of Jylland. And my brother and I, this place, it was in the countryside, and there was not a lot of other kids around. So for once, I could say my brother and I were actually playing with each other. But because he was 2 years older, he was kind of in charge. And he kind of set the game. And he came up with an idea that we should have this obstacle course, that he was gonna run a rope around the outbuildings for this farmhouse. There was a stable, and there was some a barn and all kinds of. But this was basically in the barn that he ran this rope, and also the attic the stable. And then when he was finished running the rope, he didn't let me see where he ran the rope. He came into the house and got me, and he blindfolded me, and I agreed to it because just the fact that he wanted to play with me was something else. It was unusual. So he as I say, blindfolded me, and he took me to the start of this obstacle course and put my hand on the rope, and then he told me to follow the rope, and well, I did. And it was like, in the beginning it was down in the barn around the place, and I followed it and I climbed over stuff, and it was I thought it was fun. And then it lead up a ladder and up to the attic of the stable, and around up there in the hay, and it was good fun. And then at one point it turned back, and the stable and the barn met up. You could say the stable was this way and the barn was that way. So where they met up, the attic was just like there was a drop, and he took the rope to where to that drop, but then there was a narrow wooden beam across, and it was, I think it was 3 meters up, and then it went from the attic of the stable to another attic. There was a room out in the barn, and so I had to cross this beam, and I think it was like maybe 25 centimeters across. So blindfolded, I crossed this beam, and what was it, 4 meters long, and obviously that was extremely dangerous. But well, being the younger brother, and I wanted to, well, impress my older brother, I did this. And then I got to the other side. I had to climb down, and we were used to doing these things, but we were not used to doing it blindfolded, obviously. So I climbed down, and it was no problem. And climbing down from there, we had the way we used to do it, put the, holding on with the hands and sliding out over the edge. And then we would put one foot on there was a light switch, and then down on a table, and down on the floor. And this switch was connected to a hot plate where my dad cooked potatoes for the pigs. We had 2 pigs. And all the potatoes that were not good enough for us to eat, he kept and feed it to the pigs. And he would boil them on that hot plate in a big pot. And I climbed down, and it was no problem. And then the track went another way, and after a while I came back, and I was supposed to go back up. And going back up, I put my hand on the hot plate. The problem was, when I climbed down, I had switched it on by accident. So now the hot plate was, well, hot. And I just put my hand, like pushing off, because I wanted to jump up to the table. So I had my entire weight on that hand placed right on the hot plate. Well, you can figure what happened, or imagine what happened there. I scream and cry and run to my mom, and the hand is burned, and a lot of, yeah, emergency room and all that kind of stuff. But it wasn't that serious, I had a burned hand, and yeah, well, anyway, it was for a while like that, and then it was, kids, they heal fast, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But, well, generally, while we were living at this farm, we were doing a lot of very stupid things, really. Another stupid thing we did was we found an old bicycle outside behind the building. There was a pile with actually from the previous owner stuff he thrown away, and there was an old bicycle. Both the front and the back tire was flat. The seat was made from piece of wood, and there was basically only the frame, seat, two wheels with flat tires, and a chain. And it was like, well, but we figured, how about we take the back tire off and ride this bike on the rim? We needed the front tire because, well, we needed to be able to steer. But it was fun to ride it without a tire on the back. So we did. And then we were riding this bicycle with no back tire, and obviously was sliding all over the place and not exactly safe to ride, but we had fun. And one day I was going on this bicycle. My brother, I think he was going on another bicycle, and then he was in front and going kind of fast on a gravel road, and I just tried to keep up. And then there was a turn, a sharp turn on the road, and if you didn't take the turn, there was a cliff. Oh, well, a cliff. It was a steep drop, like, I think like this, you know. And not too far before the drop, I was supposed to brake to get the speed down so I could take the turn. But the chain came off, so I couldn't brake. I was just wearing flip-flops, so I couldn't put my feet down. So last moment I jumped off the bike, and the bike and me went over the cliff, side by side. And obviously I was going like this all the way down to the bottom of the cliff. But incredibly enough, nothing happened to me. I did not even have any bruises or anything. I just tumbled. And the bike was okay as well, but it was quite a bit, you know, quite a tumble. Did it stop us from riding the old bicycle? No, not at all. We put the chain back on and kept on riding. Kids are really stupid, and I think maybe especially boys. I don't know. It's incredible. Yeah, another thing. Same place actually. While we were living at the old farm, in the garden was a big tree, a very tall tree. And down by the sea, we had found a big rope, quite long and very thick, obviously from a ship they dropped overboard or something. And we brought this rope home. And then we found out it was a good idea to put that rope from the top of the tree out in the garden. And because then we would climb up the tree, and then we could slide on the rope down. And well, we did a lot of tree climbing, both here and other places. We loved climbing trees, and I was quite good at it actually. And being small and nimble, I could go to the very top of the tree, you know, the very thin branches, and well, yeah, that was exactly the thing. At one point you move out and get to branches that doesn't carry you. And then there's only one way, and that is down. And on the way down, free falling from the top of a tall tree, all of a sudden I just saw this blue rope. And I have to say, this right next to this tree, well, basically underneath it, my dad had made like a terrace, a patio or something, you know, from rocks that he found in the garden. It's a natural rock he put, and it looked very nice, but it was a hard ground to land on. So I was, you know, falling towards the rocks, and I see this rope. And well, when you see something that might save you, you just did like this, and I was falling head first. So I just flipped around and slided very fast. Imagine what that do to your hands. obviously I got my hands torn to shreds. They were bleeding and burned and screaming and crying. All that thing again. Gosh. Somehow I'm happy I never had a son. Because I think that takes good nerves to have a son. At least if it's a son like me. Anyway, well, I don't remember what my parents said, but obviously they were upset. The next story, the next thing I did, incredibly stupid, incredibly dangerous. And this is one of the things that my parents never found out. They never know. It was something. I was playing, this time it was not my brother. It was one of my friends. We had moved to another place, a little town, my family, and in this town I had this very good friend, and we were doing a lot of stupid things. One of the things was we found it incredibly fun to play around the railway tracks. Obviously everybody know the thing about putting a coin on the railway track and let the train run over it and it'll get squashed, and yeah, that's a lot of fun. Anyway, incredibly dangerous and very, very stupid. We were playing on the railway tracks, and we'd been doing that for a long time. And one day, it was in late summer, and trees, there was some plums on the trees, and we found it very amusing to pick a lot of plums and put them on the railway track. And then when the train came, it would run over these plums and it would go yeah, very amusing for a boy. At this time I think I must have been in 7th grade, 6th, 7th grade or something like that. And my friend and I, we had been picking a lot of plums and we were placing them on the railway tracks. And then it takes a lot of concentration to make them, to put them on the track so they don't roll off, and we were very concentrated about doing this, and then we get off and walk away from the track, and whoo, there was a train, and we hadn't seen it. And it was like, had we stayed on the tracks for 30 seconds longer, we would have been, well, like the plums. It's just that, I think that is probably the closest I've ever gotten to dying. It was just so incredibly stupid. And well, that did kind of teach us a lesson. Obviously the train driver, he was blowing his horn, and well, last moment. Anyway, that was it for playing on railway tracks. We stopped right there. And yeah, it does teach you a lesson. The next very, very stupid thing. I was teenager, 19, maybe 20, yeah, maybe 20 years old. Yeah, something like that. Probably 19. Yeah. Anyway, my brother and I, we were going to town. We lived in a small village. We had bought a house together, my brother and I. Instead of renting 2 places, then we bought a house. And it was cool. And at that time, I didn't have a moped. My brother did. I only had a bicycle, and my brother had this 50cc moped. But we were going to go shopping in the nearby town, and it was like, I didn't feel like going on the bicycle. That was boring, So I got my skateboard out, and then we got a piece of rope, a length of rope, and we tied it to his moped. And then he was driving the moped, and I was holding onto the rope, standing behind him, like a water skier, just on the road. And he was going 30 kilometers an hour, I think. And it was good. It was all cool. You know, I was standing there on the skateboard, keeping my balance, and of course, no safety gear whatsoever, not at all. And then my brother, he looked back every now and again. At one point, he looked back and he said, "What's that? Why is it smoking? Where's that smoke coming from?" I was like, "Smoke? Oh, I guess we better stop." And we stopped. And I picked up my skateboard. And one of the wheels was basically melted. The thing was that the bearings in the wheel had blocked. They'd stopped turning. So then, well, the wheel had to turn. So the wheel just turned around the bearings. And obviously that was getting extremely hot. So the wheel was melted from inside out. And there was like this much left of the wheel. I don't know what would have happened if the wheel had burned and come off completely. The metal bearing right on the road, well, I don't know, but 30 kilometers an hour, no safety gear. Well, very stupid. Hey, anyway, the skateboard thing. Generally, you should wear safety gear riding a skateboard. Obviously, it's like, yeah, everybody know. But my brothers and as I don't know if I mentioned before, but I have two brothers, and the brother that I bought the house with he's 5 years older than me, and the next brother is only 2 years older than me. And the three of us, we got this idea that we wanted to do high jump on skateboard. And that sounds like something you've seen before, but this thing, we put two lawn chairs and a broom handle. So put the chairs, the broom handle between them, and then we would ride the skateboard and then jump off the skateboard up into the air, past so the skateboard would pass under the broom and we would pass over the broom handle and then land on the skateboard again. Ah, great idea. Well, until the skateboard broke. I guess I to be honest, don't remember who of us it was, but one of us landed on the middle of the skateboard and the thing just went cracked. And again, no safety gear whatsoever, and it's just incredible. None of us got hurt. The last story that I remember from these days that I'm gonna mention here is when I was skiing in a quarry with hardly any snow. I think there was like, yeah, maybe 2-3 inch of snow in a quarry, very steep, a lot of sharp rocks. Yeah, obviously, great idea. And again, no safety gear, no helmet, nothing. Just, and well, it ended in tears. Well, at least it ended with a slipped knee, and I was at the quarry. I was at this quarry with my sister. My sister is 10 years younger than me, and she was a young girl at the time, and she brought her sleigh, so she took these sleigh rides down not too steep place, but obviously I wanted to go down a very steep hill on the skis, and tumbled. And for some reason, when I got up, I was like, checking everything okay, and then I look at my knee. I had this thick, like a ski suit or a winter suit on, and the knee in the suit was torn. And I was like, okay, that doesn't look too well. And then I kind of opened and looked in, and my knee was cut. Obviously, I've hit a sharp rock with my knee, and it made a probably 2-inch long cut right over the knee, and it was like shaped like this, so it was just open. At this time we were, I think, 3 kilometers from my house, so we had to well, ski back. I was on my skis, my sister walked next to me. When we went there, I was on the skis dragging her in her sleigh, but at this time with the cut knee I couldn't drag anything except myself. When we got home, I checked out the cut and I was like, it's gonna be alright, you just need a plaster, you know, just need a bandage. And my sister was, no way, I'm gonna call the doctor. And at that time you could call the doctor and he would come to the house. And the doctor, he came to the house and I was like, that's no need. It's just a small scratch. And the doctor, he took one look and he said, you need to have this stitched. I was like, I don't want it stitched. And I had a little bit of a discussion with the doctor and he was like, if you don't have it stitched, it'll make a big scar. And I was like, I don't mind the scar, I don't care, just, you know, patch it. And he took these, we call them butterflies, you know, it's like a bandage where it's narrow in the middle and but before he wanted to close it with these butterflies, he wanted to wash it. So we went to the bathroom and he told me to put my leg up to the sink and he put soap on his hands. And I'm sure at this point the doctor was kind of angry at me because I didn't want to do as he said. So he just soaped his hands and then he did like that on my knee and washed it. And I ended up on the floor. I passed out and my sister catched me. Because right when he put his hand on this cut, it was so painful. So my other leg just collapsed and I ended in a pile. But anyway, we got it washed and he put the patch, bandage to close it, and he left. And my sister called my mom and dad. But anyway, you know, it's in life we do stupid things, and especially when we are young. I often think it's incredible that I survived all these things. And obviously, I've done more things that I don't remember right now. And I'm sure if I ask my mom and dad, they can come up with a lot of times where I could have been killed. Riding the bicycle in crazy situations and crazy ways, standing on it and stuff like that. And I think at least all boys do stuff like this. I don't think girls are stupid like that. You know, boys, we are just incredible. I don't know how, but it's something we have to challenge each other, especially brothers. You don't dare to do this. Yeah, I do. And, yeah, you know. But anyway, luckily we survive. Luckily we learn. In time we learn from it and stop doing stuff like that and become more careful. Yeah, it's incredible. It really is. And as I say in the title of this video, I could have been killed so many times, you know, but killed by myself, you know, by my own stupidity when I was a kid. Well, luckily we grow older. Luckily we grow smarter. I used to say, us boys, we grow a brain. Because when we're young, well, we might have it, but we don't use it. So, anyway, I hope you enjoyed my story. And you guys take care. And if any kids watch this movie, don't do any of the stupid things I've done. They hurt. You guys take care. Have a nice weekend. Bye-bye. And remember, life is good.